In today's video, we're gonna dive a bit deeper into my brand new product for my QUIVR lineup, Rogue pH neutral high foaming soap. And as a reminder, today's video is brought to you by Thor Media and the House of Rags. So please head over to thehouseofrags.com, use code I'mJoshV for 10% off site-wide on some exclusive brands, including QUIVR. Also, make sure to check out the new products from Clean by Pan the Organizer. He actually just released two new products, a interior quick detailer and an exterior quick detailer. I haven't tried them out yet, but I'm very, very excited to. So go check those out. Again, code I'mJoshV at thehouseofrags.com. All right, guys, so I initially released this about a week ago, and the response has been absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank all of you for your interest in the product line. Again, I didn't want to create a line just to create a line. I wanted things to work specifically for my needs and my detailing business. Again, I'm a professional detailer running a mobile detail business for about 20 years now. I do have a shop location as well, but still, most of my work is done mobile, and I need stuff that works for my situation out in direct sunlight. Again, as a mobile detailer, sometimes you have a new client that calls you up. You don't know exactly what kind of situation you're going into. You're not always working in the ideal setup, and I needed my products to reflect that and work in those situations. Now, in the video on my channel where I initially talked about Rogue, I did have some questions and concerns in the comments. So I wanted to clarify and talk about those items today. Number one is going to be the biggest elephant in the room, shipping costs. So currently there are two places to buy this. This product, the whole QUIVR lineup, is exclusively distributed through thehouseofrags.com. However, I also have it for sale on my personal site, dtlrsupply.com. Please remember, the House of Rags does have a very, very low threshold for free shipping, $125, which I get's a lot of money, but at the same time, it's pretty easy to get there with detailing products, right? We all love this stuff. So $125, and then it's free shipping. The big elephant in the room has been the cost of shipping. Like, some people will go to order the 1 liter bottle and they're like, hey man, shipping's like 18 bucks. And yeah, I get it. That's a lot of money for shipping. I will state right now though that, on my personal website, I know how that works, and it's, from my experience, you plug in your accounts with the shippers and then it auto-populates depending on where you're at. It's not like we're calculating the shipping and then just pulling a number out of the air. We're not making money on shipping. It's just, shipping is expensive. We've all gotten very used to Amazon and their free 2-day shipping for Prime. So it's just, I get it. It is what it is. So if you are concerned about that, I totally understand. My recommendation would be just to wait a little bit until you need some products where you can reach that $125 threshold, and then it's free shipping and the value of this product goes through the roof. Really quickly, I do want to talk about value with this. I packed as much value into this thing as I absolutely possibly could. When I was working with the chemist to develop this, I really went back and forth with them, and I kind of did it backward. I should have kept price in mind, but I'm also glad that I didn't, because I think if I did, I wouldn't have gotten the same result that I did. I wanted some main specific things. Really high foaming. I wanted it direct sun friendly. I wanted it really slick. And good cleaning ability for a pH neutral product. So in order to get to exactly the soap that I wanted, after all of the testing back and forth with the chemist, this is what it fell to. And in order to get there, we had to use the highest grade premium ingredients to make it do what I wanted it to do. So again, the 1 liter bottle is coming in at a price of $29.99. The 1 gallon's at 75 bucks. Price per ounce, obviously when you buy in the gallon, it's even better value. But when we talk about the 1 liter, I don't know if there's a soap that foams as much and has all the benefits of this at 1 ounce, especially at the price per ounce value. It's very, very good in that sense. And again, you can even use half of an ounce in this product, with this product in your foam cannon, and you're still gonna get great foam. So cost per use is very, very good when you look at it that way. Now again, when you factor in the shipping cost onto the price of the product, that was the biggest pushback, and I get it. That does increase the cost per use. So again, $125 minimum threshold on thehouseofrags.com. If you're on the West Coast, check out my site. I do have other options available as well for shipping. So now ultimately moving forward, this will also be in a distribution network, right? The House of Rags is in charge of that, and they have a bunch of their products already being distributed throughout the country and different detailing shops. Also in Canada, the UK, all that kind of good stuff. So this will get there as well. It's just still brand new, so we haven't gotten there quite yet, but the goal is to have that distribution network, and then you can pick it up, no problem. You don't even have to pay shipping if you just go pick it up locally. And another question was, will this be available on Amazon? And Again, the ultimate goal, yep, it will be. Again, it's just gonna take some time to get it there. This stuff just came out, so we're working through that process. But the ultimate goal is to have it available on Amazon eventually. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about pH. This is the pH meter that I use to test all the chemicals that I ever test. This is from Apera Instruments, great little pH meter and digital readout, and you can actually calibrate it between each thing that you want to test. That's the whole big part of this. I have these different solutions. We have a pH of 7, pH of 4, and a pH of 10.01. You stick the meter in there. As it gets there, you calibrate it, and then you're good to go, so you get an accurate reading each time. Now, because the consistency of the soap isn't complete water, right? I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys up close here. So this is the product here, okay? And it is nice and runny, okay? So very, very easy to fill your foam cannons and all that kind of stuff. But it does coat things very, very well. So as you can see, it sticks to the side of the little beaker here. And again, that's what really helps with the dwell time. It sticks to the panel, has that secondary layer of surfactant, so it does a great job cleaning and sticking to the panel. Like I said, long dwell time so that you can go around the vehicle and keep that lubrication on there on the surface while you're going to do your contact wash. However, that does make it a little bit harder to test the pH because of the consistency. So this gauge basically has a little sensor on the bottom, and with a thicker product like that, it kind of clogs up the sensor a little bit, and it's more difficult to get the direct, accurate reading. But at dilution, that's where we get into all the fun stuff, right? So for my test, I do a dilution of 32:1. Why do I do that? Because I recommend 1 ounce in a full foam cannon of 32 ounces, right? So 32:1. Additionally though, if you multiply that out to a gallon size, 32 times 4 equals 128 ounces in a gallon. So that would equal 4 ounces per gallon. So that's the dilution that I'm actually testing this at, and that's way overboard, right? Because even in a foam cannon, 1 ounce in there and it's going to dilute as it's coming through the foam cannon, right? The water's coming through, it's diluting down even more. Same thing in a wash bucket, you're not gonna put 4 ounces into a gallon. I typically use 1 ounce per 2 gallons or so, something like that. I usually fill up my bucket about halfway, so about 2.5 gallons. I use 1 ounce in there. If you fill up your bucket even more, you can increase that. And the more you use, the more slickness you get out of the product for your contact. So this little beaker here is where I have the 32:1 dilution ratio. And with that dilution, when we stick in the pH meter, it comes to 7.3. So nice and neutral, safe for your paint, all good to go. But I want you guys to recognize something that's, again, this is like very convoluted, right? But in order to test it, I use bottled distilled water because this has a true pH of 7. Now, when you introduce that to air, as soon as you break the cap and pour it into a beaker, the air can actually fluctuate that quite a bit, even bring it down to, in some cases, down to like 5.5. Now, when I tested this, it was still right there. It was about a 6.8, 6.9 on the pH scale. That's where the blend is. This with that came to 7.3. Now, a lot of times, if you're using deionized water, it will come in closer to that 6 mark just purely from the water, right? Water coming out of your DI tends to, deionized water is neutral, but again, once it's introduced to air, so depending on how long it's been sitting, it can come in around a 6. Alternatively though, for my example at my home, if I'm just filling up water straight out of the tap, right, not filter or anything, my water comes in at about a pH of 8.5. So even though this is neutral at ratio, if you mix it with 8.5, it's gonna be closer, a little bit higher in that range. Doesn't mean that it's a high pH soap, doesn't mean it's a low pH soap. You just have to keep in mind all those variables. But again, right about 8 out of the bottle at dilution properly, it should be about a 7, 7.3 in my case, and you're good to go. But with all that said, with the premium ingredients, premium surfactants, the cleaning ability, slickness, dwell time, all that kind of good stuff is incredible. It's not a high pH soap, so it's not gonna break down bird guts and all that, bird droppings and things like that. In those cases you want to go, because bird droppings are acidic, you want to use a higher alkaline to neutralize that out and break it up. In this case though, we're nice and neutral, safe on all surfaces. This is my daily use soap now on in my business. This is the stuff that I use day in, day out. Talking about safety with this stuff, I did get a question, is it safe on matte paint? Some Mercedes and things like that have their factory matte paint. The answer is 100% yes. There's no glossing agents to this. It is a pure soap. And even with matte paint, it's not a case of like, it's still clear coat on top, guys. It's just another ingredient added in there to create that, it's basically almost like to give it a little bit of texture to it, essentially giving it that matte look. So it's still clear coat, still completely safe for that and good to go. Now the last question I got was other applications in terms of like other foam cannons. Obviously I'm using in my QUIVR foam cannon. I use it with a 1.25 attached to an AR630, but if you're using it with like a cheaper 1.1, 1.2 GPM machine, you can use the 1.1, the orifice that comes with the foam cannon as well. However, people wanted to know, will it work in like an IK foamer? Will it work with a Griot's foam cannon that uses a metering tip? And I want to say thank you to Fine Detailing, that's Ryan out of Arizona. He did a review on this product and touched on all of that. He actually used it with the Griot's using a metering tip. He also used an IK foamer and it worked great. In the IK foamer, it was fantastic. In the Griot's, the concern was if you use a really, really thick soap, it can get clogged up. No clogging issue with it, but I will state the foam production out of that was there's so much foam out of that. In my opinion, you're wasting product almost at that point, right? And you don't have to do it that way. So you can try and conserve the product. You don't have to use a ton. Even at ½ an ounce, if you're using a certain setup, it'll work amazing. You get a ton of foam. And that brings me to my last point, which is the directions that I listed on there. I list 1 to 4 ounces in a foam cannon. If I'm saying that ½ an ounce works great, why did I list it that way? Because here's the reasoning. My preferred method, 1 ounce, for sure. It works, that's my absolute favorite. However, if you're using like a foam blaster, I know a lot of people will, especially if you're just getting in the detailing industry, a foam blaster may, with your garden hose, may get confused with a foam cannon. In those cases, the water flow going through is so much more, and to get that proper dilution ratio, you want to get it up to more soap. So that's why I did it, but honestly, in my recommendation, 1 ounce is the perfect choice. So with that said, I want to say thank you again to everyone who's tried it out. The response has been amazing. I'm very, very thankful for all of you. I've always thought about having a chemical line, but I didn't want to just rebrand other stuff, right? So with this, I was able to work with chemists and create something that specifically worked for my personal needs, right? And I think, again, as a mobile detailer, I'm out in all sorts of conditions. So I think it's going to work for everyone, right? That was my goal. I wanted it for myself, but I wanted to make it available to everyone so you guys could really enjoy it as well. Again, I want to say an absolute thank you to Eddie and Jamie over at the House of Rags. They helped me through the process. They gave me access to their chemist so that I could work with them and go back and forth with the chemist to get exactly how I wanted. And that brings me to the fact that they just announced earlier this week, Thor blending. So now they are offering to all of you guys, if you want to create your own lineup, you can do these custom blends, own the recipe, own the whole thing, and be able to really fine tune it exactly how you want it. Or they're also going to offer some white label off the shelf products. So they're gonna have a selection of products if you have a detail shop or your own detail business. This is really where it's a really cool thing, even for us mobile detailers out there, guys. A lot of times you have that rapport, you have that trust with your clients, and they're gonna be like, hey, what product should I use to maintain it? And you can be like, here, use my product. This is what I've been using on your car anyway. They're gonna have all sorts of stuff off the shelf so you can test those out, see what works for you, and then you can white label it and resell it to your customers. So, but again, with that said, they will also offer similar thing to what I did, custom blends to build it out exactly how and exactly what chemicals you want. But that's it for today's video again. I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Make sure to go ahead and follow my channel. I'm Josh V. Follow the House of Rags and Thor Media. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one.